heavy-footed.
Now then.
Square Enix is no stranger to the multiple protagonist formula. Since the release of Live a Live, the idea has been up for grabs, which makes a series like Octopath Traveler so endearing. Its retro HD 2D aesthetic, turn-based combat, and multiple storylines beg any would-be adventurer to dive in and enjoy. However, the formula needed some refinement, which made me excited about Octopath Traveler 2. Without faulting too much on their original concept, developer Acquire and Square Enix have put together a JRPG that will captivate you across each of the 8 storylines. It's ultimately an experience packed with nostalgia and adventure that made it difficult to put down for a second. Octopath Traveler 2 begins with a choice of picking one of 8 protagonists: Oswald, Casti, Temenos, Ochette, Particio, Agnia, Throne, and Hikari. Your choice dictates the starting position on the region of Solistia, which is comprised of 2 continents divided by a large sea. While not explicitly important, your starter character will likely be the highest level throughout the experience, but each character will join your ranks sooner or later. The entire cast has a reason for being on this journey, some greater than others. It took me a while to warm up to Agnia's quest of spreading joy and becoming famous, but even she becomes an integral part of the overarching narrative. Across each storyline, you learn more about the character's past and what they face moving forward. It's unclear in the early chapters, but you get a sense that something isn't right in this world, which a few character chapters do allude to. The characters are more ragtag than I expected them to be. As they joined, I didn't think they felt like a party until travel banter revealed their interactions. These are brief conversations between the 2 characters that showcase their relationship. Aside from being lighthearted, you get a better insight into how they bond. This is further highlighted in the shared story chapters where 2 characters have similar goals. This was implemented as a direct response to those who didn't like how removed the characters seemed from a common goal in the first game. Although each character still has their own personal journey to complete, the entire adventure comes to a head in the final chapter, which I wasn't prepared for. The entire adventure encourages exploration. Taking time to run off the path will likely reveal treasure or a new point of interest. Towns feel alive and provide a sense of nostalgia to old fans of the genre as you break into people's houses to look for treasure chests. The world becomes massive as you open up new chapters for each protagonist. There's no shortage of hidden dungeons, side quests, and towns to get distracted by. Some of these dungeons also contain character-specific EX skills and legendary equipment that greatly aid in the more challenging battles. While each area has a recommended level for your party, you can travel wherever you want. However, this recommendation sets the pace of the order you take on the character chapters. Sadly, as characters join your party, they'll join at level 1, unless you play through their Chapter 1, which act as a prologue and will likely get them to level 6. Members not in your party will not gain experience, but they can be power leveled up, and some supporting skills increase experience earned after fights. Reflecting on this feature, I never felt like I needed to grind levels, and my party was always well equipped through casual play. That said, while each character has a job class, secondary job class can be equipped, which come with its own set of abilities. Further, secondary job classes have quests assigned to them, opening new options for players to get the upper hand in combat. And finally, NPCs also offer side quests, which are likely the most cryptic quests ever delivered by NPCs in video games. Some details of a quest will simply say, "Someone stole from me," or "I lost an item somewhere," and you're tasked with completing them with the vague direction. However, sometimes you'll just stumble across items that NPCs need, such as stealing a recipe and not knowing what it's for until later when an NPC says, "Hey, give me that recipe." Some quests require you to use these path actions, which now include 2 abilities for each character, depending on whether you're playing in the day or night, which can be switched anytime during gameplay. Characters can interact with NPCs to steal from them, knock them out, enlist them, or get information from them. Some characters have the same path action effect, just a different way of going about it, such as Throne being able to knock someone out and Casti just serving them some sleeping powder. Suffice it to say, it's really easy to get distracted in this game, which will likely take you around 50 hours to upwards of 80 hours to complete. The day and night cycle also affects the monsters you fight, making them more difficult at night. However, party members also gain buffs at night. which varies from character to character. It's a feature that I used often when exploring towns and even dungeons depending on who was in my party. While combat is a huge part of gameplay, chapters are generally more story focused, usually with a boss encounter at the end of the chapter. However, they are each generally short, ranging from 30 minutes to an hour for each chapter. Options to speed up text or autoplay are also available, and it is possible to switch between Japanese and English audio at any time. Most of the combat will occur as you travel from town to town. Combat is turn-based, and similar to other RPGs, players can boost attacks by conserving BP each turn. Enemies are weak to either specific weapon types or elements and have shield points that, when broken, allow players to deal massive damage. The battle speed can be slightly sped up, but encounters rarely overstay their welcome. I will say that the encounter rate is really high in some areas and becomes more prominent when you're just trying to get somewhere. Luckily, there are unlockable support skills to lower that rate. Each job class gives players access to various support skills as they spend job points on unlocking new abilities. 4 support skills are able to be equipped, and they make a difference in late game encounters. Bosses have added buffs to test your understanding of the party's abilities, and these encounters lean more into strategy as you plan the perfect time to break their shield and unleash a flurry of attacks. Each character also has a latent power option that builds up when taking damage or breaking an enemy. These are unique to the character and add different options to your strategy. I will say that once your party hits level 40, the game really takes its gloves off as you make your way through the truly challenging fights. Regardless, I never felt like I was overwhelmed or couldn't progress. In fact, I spent a lot more time deciding whose chapter to take on first, since they're all open to you once you add the member to your party. When it comes to the overall menu design and UI, I felt like this game needs some work. Besides pointing you in a general direction, the on-screen minimap is probably useless. It just appears to be a foggy mess, which caused me to open up the main menu map to see which direction I should go in. Further, the fast travel options are minimal for most of the game, subjecting you to only be able to fast travel to towns. This issue becomes apparent when you encounter a trial dungeon that requires you to only have one character in your party, so you have to go to the nearest town's pub, remove your party members, and then travel back to the dungeon with only one character. Given how epic the final chapter is, this is a game you'll want to finish. However, it isn't easy to get there when there's so much left to explore. Right when you think you've got all the towns discovered, you can focus on clearing chapters. Well, you get a ship, and then you can travel to sea, which houses new dungeons and new enemies. Luckily, this is a beautiful game with one of the best soundtracks I've heard in years. Like the theme of characters who come from different regions, the music adapts to whatever area of the world you're in, with changes of instruments and melodies that fit each mood. Octopath Traveler 2 is an evolution of the series that doesn't change the formula of its predecessor, but enhances it in almost every way. The characters each have their own adventure ahead of them, which eventually becomes a more centralized plot. The battle system highlights strategy through deep character customization and job classes, and exploration and discovery are at the core of the entire experience. There are a few stumbles along the way, but this is an adventure like none other, and I won't soon forget it. Noisy Pixel is giving Octopath Traveler 2 an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.